Sugidama blog. Sugidama blog.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 48 of Sugidama Podcast, the podcast about Japanese sake, the drink which has very interesting relatives. But before I introduce one of them, let me tell you about our sponsor, London Sake, which has one of the widest selections of premium and craft sake available online today. You can choose from over 100 sake from 25 breweries, and they will deliver across the UK and many European markets. And if you don't know what sake to choose, you can use simple online tasting notes together with very sensible and affordable food pairings to help you decide. What's more, you can get a 10% discount by just using the code Sugidama, all caps, during checkout. London Sake, making sake simple. My name is Alex and I live in London. I am a certified sake specialist, sake judge, sake educator and sake advocate. Besides this podcast, I have Sugidama blog, where I write about all things sake and publish tasting notes, overviews and information about sake events happening in London. This is the last episode of season 4, and to my own amazement, I have managed to churn out 48 episodes for the last 3 years. Yeah, it's more than one episode a month. More than half of the episodes are interviews. I have to say that it takes a fair amount of time to create an episode. First, I usually plan the season by thinking about themes which I organize as mini-series. Then it depends on whether an episode is an interview or an episode with only me talking. With interviews, I contact my prospective guests, agree on an interview, make a list of topics I would like to talk about and send it to my guests. Then we agree on time and record the interview. I also separately record an intro, a mid-section and an outro. With my own episodes, I usually write up a script and record it. After that, I edit the recorded episode, which is my least favorite task, because it takes a lot of time, 2-3 times more than the length of the episode. Then I add music, jingles and sounds, mixing everything in one file and upload it to my podcasting host. I also design cover art for the episode, unless it's my own episode for which I use a standard cover art. Then I write up the show notes and publish the episode. But that's not all. I then publish a blog post about the new episode, though most of it is generated automatically from the show notes, so I only have to design a featured image for that. Then I promote the episode by sharing the blog post on social media and creating 1 or 2 sound bites for Instagram. So overall it takes, I guess, 5-7 hours per episode. Basically a workday. My main motivation is to bring more people to sake and help them discover this amazing drink. So if you could help me do it, it would be great. Please share Sugidama podcast as much as you can. You can always share a particular episode you liked or tag me in your post about sake. If you have any comments, again, you can make a post about it. Share the podcast in your WhatsApp or other groups if anyone shows some interest in sake. It helps a lot. As I have already mentioned many times before, the algorithm of podcasting platforms is looking at how many new listeners a podcast gets. If the podcast adding new listeners actively, it makes sense for platforms to start suggesting it to other users. So together we can bring more people into the exciting world of sake. Today is the last episode of season 4, and as I said, I will talk about a cousin of sake, so to speak. The drink called shochu. I'm sure that most of you might know what it is. Sake and shochu are related through 2 main things, koji and rice. But why shochu? Well, I have recently taken a Shochu Advisor course with fabulous Toshio Ueno. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about the course. It's not a promotion because I paid for the course, so it's my own initiative just to give a shout out for the course. So first, let me give you a better idea what shochu is and how it's related to sake. Shochu is a distilled beverage, and this is the key difference compared to sake. If you remember from the early episodes about sake, or you might just know it, sake is a brewed beverage. Basically, you take 4 key ingredients, rice, koji, water, and yeast, put them together using a brewing method. I'm not going to dwell on it now. And after some time, you've got your drink. All you need after that is to press, or as it's called, filter it to get rid of the sediments, and here you are. I'm oversimplifying it, of course, but the method fundamentally is not very different from making wine or beer. With a distilled alcohol beverage, you take an extra step, distillation, to get your drink. So what is distillation? First, you do a very similar thing you do in sake. You put together the main ingredients, like rice, barley, sweet potato, and so on, with koji, water, and yeast, in stages for shochu or in one go in the case of awamori, and brew it as you do with sake. However, you don't press the resulting mash, called maromi, the same as in sake brewing, but heat it up in a special pot called a still, to the point when the alcohol starts evaporating. The still is designed to capture this alcohol in a separate vessel. This distilled alcohol has a much higher ABV compared to the original mash. You can brew the maromi up to 20% ABV and distill it to 35-60% ABV, or even more, because you can distill it more than one time. So that's the key difference between sake and shochu. But how sake and shochu are similar? The similarity between sake and shochu mainly comes from koji, which is used in both drinks. Apart from kokuto shochu, made with brown, or as it's called in Japan, black sugar, the rest of the key ingredients are starchy products, like rice, barley, sweet potatoes, buckwheat, and some others. So you need to convert starch into sugar to get your alcohol. Koji for the rescue. Even with brown sugar, you are required to make a koji starter first, otherwise you will get rum. Another common ingredient is rice. You can make 100% barley, sweet potato, or buckwheat shochu, but very often rice is still used for the koji starter. As I understand, it's easier to grow koji on rice than on sweet potatoes, for example. There are a number of sake breweries which make shochu either from rice or from sake kasu, or sake lees, the byproduct of sake making. Some of them sell it as shochu, but others use it as brewer's alcohol in making honjozu type sake. And of course, both drinks are very traditional in Japan. Sake is an old drink, unless you are of the opinion that in the legend of Yamato no Orochi, listen to episode 25 if you still haven't, Susan no O made shochu to defeat the dragon, not sake. But still, both drinks go back centuries. The first written mention of shochu is from 1559, before the Edo period, but the drink, of course, existed before that. So, the course I have recently attended is run by the International Sake School and was taught by Toshio Ueno. Some of you must know Ueno sensei. He is one of the legends in the sake world, especially outside Japan. He's an executive instructor and vice president and a co-founder of the Sake School of America. He's a director of sake specialist at MTC, one of the largest distributors of Japanese food and beverages in the US. Ueno-san is sake samurai and advisor to many Japanese government bodies, associations, and companies. His knowledge stretches from wine and beer to sake and shochu and many other areas. He's an amazing sensei. Very knowledgeable, approachable, funny, and pretty cool. I was lucky that I got a place on his course. I will definitely do an interview with Toshi Ueno in the future. So, Ueno-san is based in the US, so here in Europe the course will be taught mainly by no less esteemed teacher Marie Chung Tong, the chairman of the British Sake Association, who is a freelance food and drinks writer, a certified WCT sake wines and spirits educator, sake wine and spirits judge, among other titles. You can listen to my interview with her in episode 32. So it was the first intake of the International Sake School, which is an international offshoot of the Sake School of America. They do not have a website yet, but their mission and philosophy are the same. I will put the link to the Sake School of America in the show notes anyway. The materials for the course are provided by SSI, the Sake Service Institute, where I got my sake qualification, Kikizaki, and by Japan Sake and Shochu Makers Association. So a few words about why I decided to get on the course. As I have mentioned before, there are a lot of similarities between shochu and sake, and I enjoy both. While I have a very good understanding of what shochu is through the books I've read, but mostly from the Great Japanese Distilled podcast by Christopher Pellegrini and Stephen Lyman, who are alumni of Ueno sensei, by the way, I wanted to make sure that there are no gaps in my knowledge. I wanted to make sure that I understand certain things right and just get a more overall picture of the drink. I also was attracted by the chance to get a certificate. The opportunity to be taught by Toshi Ueno was another factor. I know Ueno-san from sake judging, and he's a truly impressive person, so it was a great opportunity to know him better. And come on, it was the first intake of the new sake school, so it sounded very cool. Okay, before I talk about the course itself, let me remind you about London Sake, our sponsor, and their huge selection of curated sake sets, which provide a great opportunity to explore various styles and types of sake. Have a look, but don't forget about the magic word Sugidama, all caps, to get you 10% discount. So let's talk about the content of the Shochu Advisor course. So it's one-day course. It took us from 9:30ish to 5 o'clock to get through, and it covers quite a lot of topics. Because it's SSI developed course, or at least it's based on SSI course, it started with very general overview of what it means to be a successful Shochu advisor. It was the same with Kikizaki. So you've got several points you have to understand to perform better in this role. Then it went into basics of alcoholic drinks, fermentation, distillation, shochu, sake, distilled alcoholic beverages like whiskey or cognac, wine, beer, and after that we talked about history of distilled alcoholic beverages, geography, ingredients, history of shochu. It was quite interesting because we were talking about different regions where different types of shochu are brewed, and why it's that, what is the main ingredients in these particular areas. Then we talk about appellation of origin control, because certain areas, they've got GI, geographic indication of shochu, so only shochu made in these particular areas and using particular method can be called certain type of shochu. Like, for example, Ike shochu from equivalent Kuma Shochu from Kumamoto, and Satsuma Shochu, Awamori. And it's quite interesting that Awamori, it's a separate drink, but from the legal point in Japan, it classified as a type of shochu. It's not like a type of shochu, but it included in this category because it's distilled drink made using rather similar technique, but still different. Then we have a sort of like legal angle and talk about shochu from legal point of view. What is shochu? What you can call shochu? What should be? What are the requirements for different types of shochu? We talk about honkaku shochu, which is probably the most popular shochu now. It's more expensive, but it's made by a very traditional method, and there are certain criteria shochu can meet to be able to be called honkaku shochu. Then we talk about the most used main ingredients. Basically, there are 55 plus main ingredients which can be used to make shochu, but there are only few of them that are considered as main ingredients. So we talk about sweet potato, from which you can make imo shochu. Imo, it's a sweet potato. Then barley, mugi shochu, rice, komi shochu, Thai rice, awamori, brown sugar, or as it's called in Japan, black sugar, kokuto shochu, and we talk about different varieties of these ingredients. There are certain types of sweet potatoes you can use for different types of shochu, or different types of rice. Or we talked about characteristics of shochu made with certain ingredients, about like flavor, style, recommendations, food pairings, things like that. And then we talked about koji. It's another key ingredient of shochu making, and you might know that there are three main types of koji used in alcoholic production in Japan. It's yellow koji, which is used for sake, and it's white koji, which is very much used for shochu, and black koji used for awamori. But nowadays, a lot of breweries use different types of koji. For example, they can make sake with black koji, or they make shochu with black koji, or sake with white koji, things like that. The only thing is about awamori. Awamori has to be, if you want to call it ruku awamori, you have to make it with black koji and Thai rice. So then we talked about, you learn about distillation systems, because you can have a single distillation when you have one run, or multiple distillations, 2 or 3 runs, for example, and it affects types of shochu, how it tastes, how it feels. We talked about shochu flavors, how they depend on distillation methods, koji, aging, different methods. For example, awamori, they've got this kusu aging method, when you basically mix new awamori with old and at the end you bottle some kind of mix. Then you learn about how to drink shochu. Well, you don't have to learn how to drink shochu. You can just drink whatever you like. But there are certain recommendations, or not even recommendation, but how you can drink it, because you can drink it straight on the rocks. You can have it with cold water, with hot water. You can have it with sparkling water. There are certain methods you can use, and to see what you like more. So nobody will obviously tell you, oh yeah, you can't drink this shochu with hot water. If you like it, nothing can prevent you to doing so. Also, like tasting, what you should pay attention when you trying and tasting shochu, what kind of food you can pair with shochu, depending again of type of shochu and main ingredient, distillation method, things like that. Drinking vessels in different areas, they've got their own drinking vessels, which quite interesting. Even like health benefits of shochu, because it doesn't have any sugar, so it doesn't give you sugar, and there are some kind of evidence of even lowering blood pressure. I'm not sure about health benefits of alcoholic drinks. It's a bit like, I guess all benefits probably cancelled out by the fact that it's alcohol. But still, it's quite interesting to find out. Also, the course got some legal stuff again about what bodies, government bodies control and oversee the shochu making and how it's called and labeling and other things, and food pairing. Because it's you get a certificate after the course. You have to take exam. I haven't taken the exam yet because my exam is in few days. But I decided to record this episode because I want to publish it in time. So I'm not going to wait for my results, exam results. Although as I understand, the exam results are instant. You do your exam, it's 1 hour multiple choice exam, and then it's done online, and then you've got instantly get the result. But just keep an eye on my Mastodon account and Instagram. I will definitely publish if I pass or not. Probably I'm not going to publish anything if I don't pass, but hopefully I will. So yeah, so this is the course in the nutshell, but it also includes tasting, obviously, because when you talk about different types of shochu and different methods, different ingredients, you want to give people very good understanding how it affects the taste and texture of the drink. So we tasted 15 shochu during the course. It was 5 tastings, usually like 3 shochu. Obviously, you spit out when you taste. You don't drink it because otherwise, probably by the mid of the course, you get drunk and won't be able to digest the information. But yeah, it was a great thing about the course because we had 2 or 3 brands. It was the same brand, the same basically shochu, but either made from different ingredients or made using slightly different methods or different, like koji, for example, or different distillation methods. So it was quite interesting to compare very similar drinks, but made slightly different in different ways to understand how these methods affect the drink. So it was great. And also we tried quite wide variety of shochu. We had like a barley shochu, rice shochu, sweet potato shochu, soba shochu. We had awamori. So it was very good mix of, and we had one non-honkaku shochu, quite popular shochu. So yeah, it was great about this course that it was very, very practical. And we had tasting notes, templates, and we were usually trying shochu, putting what we think about templates, about things like intensity of the aroma, what the main components of aroma you can detect, complexity, sweetness, texture, these kind of things. And then we discussed it after that. So it was very interesting because you could see how different people perceive the same drink. So it was quite cool. And obviously it was a lot of input from sensei because, as I said, he's very knowledgeable. He understands things up to the molecular level, and he can explain it in a very good, clear way. And you've got a feeling that definitely you've got a confidence in what you do. So my final thoughts about this course, I enjoyed it a lot. It was short and to the point. Very wide coverage, as I said, from history of shochu to shochu making methods, types, ingredients, food pairings, and so on. It's certified course, so you've got a certificate. You have to sit the exam to get it. The teacher was great, Ueno sensei, and I'm sure that Marie is also a great teacher, because she was teaching the next day. So it's highly recommended. It's more like, if you think about it, if you compare it to sake course, it's probably something like level 2. So it's more advanced than just a few hours to give you a very general understanding of the course, and it's very compressed. It's quite a lot of information given within like 8 hours, but 7 hours we get a lunch break. But on the other hand, it's probably slightly less comprehensive than WCT level 3 or Kikizakushi. So, but yeah, it's a great course. If you're a member of a British Sake Association, they will definitely start advertising next dates of the course. But I'm sure that the International Sake School will get a website, and you will see the advertisements of this of the course when it becomes available again. So keep your eyes peeled. Okay, I was talking about shochu, and so I'm going to feature it as a sake of the episode, where sake takes the true Japanese meaning, any alcoholic beverage. As I said, we tasted 15 shochu during the course, and I liked a lot of them, but I would like to feature something less common, a soba shochu made from buckwheat as a main ingredient. It's not very common in outside Japan. Even in Japan, it's not that many of them. So it's quite interesting drink. The shochu is called Takara Towari Soba shochu, and it's 100% buckwheat shochu, meaning that the starter was made with buckwheat koji, no rice. ABV is 25%. Towari shochu is very aromatic, and the aroma is quite complex. You have soba, yogurt, nuts, and sesame on the savory side, plus chocolate, madeleines, and a few floral notes. So it's quite interesting aroma. You can think about it. It's quite enjoyable trying to figure out what are the components of this aroma are. So the texture of shochu is soft and rounded, with the alcohol well integrated. The flavor is light and floral with some sweetness and a hint of mint and medium body. According to Ueno sensei, Towari shochu is great with barbecue, unagi, grilled eel, and a wide variety of food, and can be enjoyed both warm and cold. So we tried it room temperature and without food. So I have to rely on Ueno sensei in this regard. So the shochu is made by Takara, a large producer of Japanese alcoholic beverages, and it's available in many countries. So look for it. That's it for today. This episode concludes season 4. I'll be back with a new season, hopefully in autumn. I think I have learned to manage the podcast better, and this season was not as stressful as the previous ones, so I think I might take less time to recover. I plan to do more interviews, organized in probably 2-3 mini-series, so stay tuned. In the meantime, have some shochu. If you are in the UK, Towari shochu is available from Yutaka online shop. Don't forget about London Sake, which sells a range of Takara shochu and some awamori, and you can get a 10% discount using the word Sugidama. Don't forget about sake as well. If you are thinking about what sake to buy, look up the tasting notes section on my website, sugidama.co.uk. I'll keep adding more sake there. I've got now more time to do that. If you have any questions or suggestions about any sake topic, just drop me a line. My email address is alex@sugidama.co.uk, or you can tag me on Instagram at sugidamablog in one word, or on Mastodon as well, where I am at sugidamablog at universeodon.com. Any ideas for topics for the new season are welcome. Please feel free to send me. Again, if you like the episode and the podcast and don't want to miss season 5, hit the subscribe button and you will get every new episode downloaded to your player as soon as it's out. If you would like to give me a bit of support, please leave a review or rate Sugidama Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or anywhere you can do it. And I will repeat, please, 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 share this podcast with your friends on your social media, chat apps, anywhere. The more new people start listening to Sugidama Podcast, the more actively the podcasting platforms start recommending it to other listeners. So it's the best way to bring new people to the wonderful world of sake. Thanks a lot for listening. See you in autumn. Kampai.
Suge, 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 Sugidama blog. Suge, 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 Sugidama blog.